And Honorable Missy,
yes,
your fellow members of parliament want graft convicts to face jail, to face life in jail, and this is none other than Honorable Kiharu, member of parliament, Ndindi Nyoro, and he's actually he's actually tabled a bill in the National Assembly. He tabled it yesterday. He's just waiting for approval. So, do you think having graft convicts to face, life in jail will actually reduce what we see as rampant corruption in the country, because we are losing millions and millions of shillings, which soon will turn into trillions?
Yeah, I think it's good to appreciate the various efforts, from different quarters, just to ignite a discourse around this scourge that has really threatening to bring this country down. And some of these views from members of parliament, from civil societies, from other agents of fight against corruption, I think it is a step to the right direction. But the question we should ask is that as much as we want to review our laws, as much as we want to really strengthen the gap in our constitution as pertains fight against corruption, we cannot convict people or condemn people for death with such justice on trial, because I think the first step is first of all to clean our judicial system, because if we are going to have such tough laws with such kind of loopholes in our judicial system where judges are accused of corruption themselves, you may find people using a corrupt judicial system to literally kill our fellow countrymen, innocently.
Okay.
So let us not so much focus on the laws, while we are the elephant in the room is the cleanup of the judicial system, because as much as the laws are going to be strengthened, yes, we've seen it happen. Work elsewhere in China, there are such laws. I think the member is borrowing heavily from the Chinese jurisdiction, where people are, they face firing squad.
All right,
but it has to be a fair. People must go through a fair judicial system for you to, eventually end up at such convictions. So I think the first step is to, first of all, look at our judiciary. Such headlines, they actually give us a lot of fears on even if we are coming up with laws, but is our judicial
are you likely
up
to support this? Are you likely to support this bill?
I've not looked at it. I think I will support once I looked at it in its entirety. I don't know what is the member is proposing. I can see life. Death penalty.
Yeah, the death penalty, and also let me just bring in Magal in this. The other proposal is to have the judges, handling corruption cases, to give a fine that amounts to billions of shillings. Because when you see people accused of corruption in court, the kind of fines they're given and the amount that has been stolen, you are like, they're not even,
it's insulting, isn't it?
Yeah. So he's proposing, Honorable Nyoro is proposing that the fine should be in billions, not even millions or thousands.
First and foremost, my problem has been with the judiciary and their sentencing practices as far as corruption is concerned. People steal millions, then they are given a fine, a third of whatever it is that they have stolen. There is no jail terms being dished out. Now, how then does the judiciary expect that to deter corruption? And I think, to me, that is the greatest failing. The judiciary or the Chief Justice should come up with a very clear sentencing guideline, especially on matters corruption, that whenever there is a conviction, to show the seriousness of the matter, jail terms should be dished out to those found guilty. That will definitely deter corruption, whether it is for 1 year, whether it is for 2 years, whether it is for a lifetime. But unless and until we get there, because I'm sure life sentence won't be the only option there, we'll still have people being given fines, we'll still have people being given short, very...
So you support the billions?
Not exactly. Mine, I want them to go to jail.
You want them to go to jail?
I want them to go to jail.
Okay.
These are people who can pay and they will always pay.
Oh, okay.
I want them to go to jail.
I'll show you there are people who can pay and they'll always pay.
Because of all this, we've seen the cases that have been decided this year.
Yeah.
We had a very funny case where a magistrate sentenced someone to prison. Then the matter was appealed. Then the High Court rescinded that decision and gave that person the option of a fine. I mean, what kind of an insult is that?
All right. That is a lawyer talking. the lawyer needs talking now. let's have a look at the Nation newspaper. And I can share my newspaper with you, if you don't mind. Let's have a look at, the front page on your immediate right. And that is fake gold. Once again found at the Barclays Bank. This comes just, let me say, 2 days after police are saying it's fake currency.
A day
actually, it's a day because it was found on Tuesday.
Yes.
Then we had Wednesday. Then now yesterday, the bomb squad went in again to the Barclays Bank to actually see what's in the safe. And what they found is fake gold.
Yes.
And Barclays Bank has actually come out to defend its own banking institution, saying that they doubt whether the money was fake, and police needs to prove how they knew it's fake, even before, conducting tests to prove this money is fake. Now we have gold, fake gold. So does it mean banks don't even know what their customers put in the safe boxes? Yeah,
I think it is also incumbent upon us as lawmakers to start relooking at that particular act that's, gives the bank the leeway to allow customers to just keep on whatever items they have. Because one of the excuses that is coming from the banking industry is that the customers are allowed to keep their items, precious items, jewelry, title deeds in their safe boxes without necessarily bank knowing whatever the content of that boxes. So if it is a law that guards customers, against interference with whatever they have kept there, then it's something we need to look at, because in that case, the way the detectives were going there, with mind that it could be a bomb. So what if it was a bomb? And if it's going to give, customers the leeway to keep whatever content that is there, and then there are so many bombs that are kept in this town that we do not know. So I think it's something that the banking law needs to be reviewed and looked at, because if you are going to have people keeping things in the bank, and the bank fake. And it's fake, first of all. Yeah. We don't know, because these are the things that we are told. We don't know whether it's fake or real. The other day we were told that 32 billions were caught, and we were told it's actually real. It's only that they are hiding, not so that not so many Kenyans get to get excited about it. But I think it all falls back to the act itself. We need to look at it and find out where the loopholes that can allow. We are at a time when you are fighting terrorism at its peak. So if you are going to have such kind of loopholes in our banking system or anywhere else that allows individuals to, keep items that we do not know the content, then it puts this country actually at a risk.
All right. Yeah. And I mean, Magal, you're a lawyer, and one of the, let me say your colleague, Olo came out and said, we need the DCI, the investigative agencies, to prove that this man is fake, because we have a feeling this man is not fake, which begs the question, then how did the DCI, not really the DCI, but the investigative authority know that 2 billion fake currency, it's within Barclays Bank?
Of course, there are very many questions hanging over that discovery, and one of them is the transparency of the DCI and the police in the discharge of their duties. They seem to be, under no obligation at all to let the public know or share accurate information with the public, and it's worrying. Because if indeed it is real currency, then why would they be telling the public that it is fake? There's been another recent discovery of 32 billion shillings. I don't believe all of it, as much as they would like us to believe, so I don't believe all of it was fake. Some must have been real.
What was found at the Barclays Bank?
Both cases.
Also, yeah, both cases. What was found in Ruiru as well.
But why would you think it was not fake currency?
I don't think. I mean, if you want to pass off some currency as real, basically what you need to do is to include some real currency among the fake. Either cover the fake with the real or mix them up, you know, such that somebody who is a bit knowledgeable would buy your line that it is real. So I really don't believe that the whole of it was fake, and which then begs the question: why is the DCI misleading the public? Because I believe there is some element of misleading of the public.
All right, and you know, I like what Honorable Amisi said, that it begs the question. I mean, if banks cannot even question the kind of, you know, content that's put within the SEF's boxes, then how safe are we as a nation within the banking industry?
First of all, I would like to disabuse that notion that the banks don't know do not know, or that they are not required to know what is in the SEF deposit boxes. Yes, there is the issue of a confidentiality between banks and their client, but it doesn't cover. It doesn't mean that they cover their eyes and not know what is in those boxes. There is no such law that tells them that they do not need to know what is in those.
So that can't be a defense.
Yes.
Within the corridors of justice.
If I handed in an empty box and came back after 2 years and said the contents of my box are missing, how would the bank then be able to defend itself? If I go there and say that my box contained diamonds worth 100 million shillings, how would the bank then be able? These are things which are taken in the presence of custodians. They are then recorded. The record is kept of the contents as well, and the box itself is kept within the safe. So that this charade that the bank is trying to pass off as a law, to me, doesn't hold any water.
All right.
Yes.
And Honorable Mrs., we bring this conversation about the banking industry to an end. We look at another newspaper. So what is the way forward? Members of Parliament, Kenyans are looking up to you.
Yeah, we are supposed to be in the forefront in championing for this war against corruption as matters pertain in legislation. And you can see some of our colleagues are, taking a lead. But again, I come back to the judicial system, because however much or however good the laws we pass, and we still have a questionable judiciary like this one, I think we will not really be getting the point, because we need to have a judiciary that everybody will be comfortable and confident when you are facing justice, that justice will be delivered in its fairness. It's supposed to be the epitome of justice, but it is turned up to to be like a curse to our nation. Okay. If the court of this stature, Supreme Court, which is supposed to be the highest court in the land, is mad with such cases of allegations, then where do Kenyans now have to seek reprieve?
All right.
I think it's really a high time we look at the judiciary as a whole, for us to be proud of a nation that we can call a nation.
All right.
Yeah.
I think we'll have to share this newspaper. That is the Star. Yes. The Star newspaper, and probably I'll request my director to put for our viewers that on the screen. It is that the Directorate of Criminal Investigation probes missing 5.6 billion shillings, yet another scandal. Yes. So every day we're moving from one scandal to another. To another. And it's not even millions, it's billions at the e-citizen cash. And part of it says, of the Star newspaper, when you look at page 4 to 5, it actually says that the Directorate of Criminal Investigations is tightening the noose around high-flying Treasury officials and directors of 2 firms implicated in the 5.6 billion e-citizen scandal. Then it goes further to say that the DCI wants to unravel how 5.6 billion shillings mysteriously disappeared from the e-citizen pay bill account, which was being managed by a local firm allegedly contracted to collect payments from Kenyans seeking government services. But the saddest part of this investigation is that it is involving Treasury officials, and of course it is also said that The officers said that the preliminary information points to a well-choreographed theft scheme by some Treasury officials, well-connected politicians and top KRA officials. So even politicians are not left behind in all this scandal.
Yeah, I agree.
And it's e-citizen.
Yes.
Kenyans, you pay.
Yes.
And you know when you're using the e-citizen, there's a pay bill number that you're given.
Yes.
So you pay this amount for you to,
Yes.
to get this service.
Yes.
So you, probably that is the only money you had, but there's someone at the back waiting for this money.
Yes. And I think it's also good to realize that most of this big money that get lost out of public offers, it is through a cartel system. It's never a one individual, squandering all the money. It is a cartel system that has entrenched in itself in whichever institutions we are talking about. Be it the Treasury, you see that some of these individuals are also from the Treasury. So I think the other day I gave a rather rare suggestions that how have countries fought corruption. Look at Russia, not so much a good example, but when Putin took over, he literally killed all the cartels and oligarchs. They call them the oligarchs, the wealth owners, because they are the ones who had controlled the system. Now, when we see such suggestions like we need to kill them, I think that's where we need to go, because you see, these cartels cannot be solved by a rotten judiciary system. So even if you take them to court and the judiciary is there ready to embrace them and accept them, because it's the same system.
Corruption will not
so it is supposed to be a regime change, sort of, that can clean up once and for all. Even when the Prime Minister of Malaysia took over, he actually literally disregarded the law of the land and jailed all the ministers, blocked the airport.
Magao, I mean, this, from what the Star newspaper is saying, that as much as the DCA is probing the 5.6 billion e-citizen cash, there is a network which involves some KRA officials, Treasury officials, and politicians. The saddest thing is politicians, the people's representative. So it begs the question, who actually runs this account?
Because
it's a pay bill. And there has to be someone who is, taking care of this pay bill.
Most likely it is the intermediary, the company that has been outsourced to receive the funds on behalf of the government. It has signatories. And of course, this is again a very elaborate scheme whereby probably the money never ends up with the government. It's siphoned before it gets to the government. That way it is much easier, because such accounts are not strictly regulated, such that there are certain requirements to be met before money is withdrawn. But coming to your question, I think impunity is the cause of all this. We have had the government itself disregarding its own laws. We've had many cases of corruptions where there have been no investigations and no prosecution. It has gotten to a point where a Kenyan way of thinking is that the only way to get rich is through theft, and that once I've stolen, there's no way I'll be prosecuted and convicted. And now that is a generally accepted notion in the country. That is why people are so daring. That is why whoever is appointed into any office thinks he has the, the latitude to do whatever it is that they want. Walk into a government office and make a simple complaint. The man will look at you like, what are you saying? I will help you if and when I want to, but if I don't, then I'm not going to. And that is the general attitude throughout all the institutions, be it be parliament, judiciary, go to the Ministry of Lands. It is the same attitude, and it starts there and it goes all the way. People are in offices to enrich themselves. They are rent-seeking, You cannot get services without coughing up something. It is so blatant. They even receive their money on M-Pesa, They'll tell you if you have no cash, send it through M-Pesa, because no investigation will be conducted.
All right. And now, finally, gentlemen, as we wrap up the newspaper review, then we come back with State of the Nation to talk about, the rot within the judiciary. Let's have a look at still the Star newspaper when it talks about, Deputy President William Ruto saying that the graft fight targets him. Why would the Deputy President think about, him being the target when it comes to the fight against corruption in the country? And of course, this intensified during the, the major dam scandal within the Rift Valley region.
And when we talk about what he has said, then he will say, you guys are targeting me, when he has actually the one directing us to target him. The other day I asked myself, there is no, unless I do not belong to this country, there is no instance where I've had Deputy President being, asked to go and record a statement at the DCI. I have not seen him being, asked to go and answer some cases at the court. I have not seen him being mentioned anywhere that, demands that his attention. So why will he come out and say you are targeting me when himself has not answered any?
He's saying the reason as to why he's being targeted is because some people have a problem with the truth.
Yes.
And his truth is that we need facts and evidence and follow the rule of law while fighting corruption, which he feels that is not being, followed when it comes to fighting graft in the country.
So what is being followed? I think the people who have been arrested and the people who have, summoned to record statements, Deputy President is not one of them.
All right.
So why will you say you're being targeted? That's why I get confused with him.
All right.
I mean, we've heard people like Evans Kidero, who I know is nothing related to Deputy President. We have heard people like Wamalwa, Eugene, and several other Kenyans who have faced justice.
All right.